Higher education institutions continue to face the challenge of managing too many security tools with limited resources. The urge to streamline is clearly present, but finding the right solution isn't always apparent. That changed recently for Raisha Cobb, CIO of Winston Salem State University, who joins us today to talk about how her IT team discovered a smarter solution for managing multiple security products. And also joining us is Doug Thompson, Chief Education Architect at Tanium, to share his perspective on how higher education institutions are rethinking the security architecture they need to keep up with today's rapidly changing technology and cyber threat environments. So Raisha and Doug, thank you so much for joining us. And Raisha, let me start with you. Give us a quick sense for the size of your team, the number of students and faculty your team supports, and also the IT and security challenges you and your team were facing.
Thanks, Wyatt. On a good day, my team is fully staffed around 50 people. Since the pandemic, we've been operating at a 20 to 25% reduction in staff, just turnover, vacancies, things of that nature. And so my team fluctuates 40 to 43 people typically. Our campus size about 5,200 students with about 1,000 faculty and staff that we support. With the limited number of staff that we have, managing our endpoints, especially as we transition to remote work and learning, had become an arduous task for my team. When you're dealing with on-premise type of technology, then everything goes off. How do you secure it? What do you have? How do you provide services? And we were finding that the current tool set that we have was not meeting our needs. And then with the turnover and whatnot, we realized that we had too many people who were just the single point of failures and all these different tools and technologies, and that we needed to reduce the footprint on our endpoints and streamline our operations by simplifying how our team engages in the tools. And that's where we came to approach by Tanium. My staff was looking for replacing one of our software asset management solutions, and they were doing demos and whatnot. And something caught their eye where they said, "Ms. Cobb, you need to check out this Tanium product because it does more than what we're looking for. And I think you'd be interested in what it has to offer." And for my team to come to me, like really pushing, they sent me an email and I was busy doing other stuff. And they actually came to my office and said, "Hey, Mrs. Cobb, we think you need to take a look at this because it gives us an opportunity to further reduce some of these applications that we have running on our systems and reduce the footprint and give us more insight and management opportunities for the technology that we provide to the campus." And that's how I got involved with learning more about Tanium and the different products that it has in its stack and how we could benefit and help streamline and alleviate some of the stress points that we've been dealing with in trying to manage and ensure that our campus provides teaching, learning, whatever administrative support services that we have in a secure fashion.
So talk to us a little about how moving to Tanium's solution did allow you to streamline your operations. What is it letting you do now?
Oh, wow. So I'm telling you, the biggest thing that it has done for us is time. We have been able to capture time that has been lost previously in manually managing patches, manually dealing with software deployments. The previous tools that we had when we were providing our software center to our faculty and staff was very limited and it wouldn't always work. And so now my team, what took us months to do for deployment of software sometimes and trying to package the clients for the different operating systems has been reduced to days. We have an extensive software catalog that we offer to our end users that, they're impressed with. It does all the logic for us that we would have to say, okay, I'm going to roll this out. You got to reboot and shut down. We don't have to do any of that anymore. It's automatically scripted in the solution and it's streamlined and seamless. My patching management team, from the server side to the endpoints, you know, the endpoint folks they jumped on the patch management solution initially. My server team, they were a little hesitant, but when they learned about the ease of use, the streamliners, how they wouldn't have to take the whole weekend and doing everything manually and whatnot, using WSIS and things that nature, they jumped on board, and they're learning from my endpoint team how to utilize the system for their purposes. And so now I've gone from, you know, reducing like 5 or 6 different products just off the bat, decommissioning them into one platform. Now my team, I have more people who know how to use Tanium and know how to navigate the different modules that it has than I did before. And so I'm not worried if you know, one of my sysadmins gets sick or one of my staff members decides they're going to find a better opportunity somewhere else. I have a bench that with depth that know how to use the technology in the different facets. We've reduced time, which has allowed us to be more innovative and be able to research different technologies for our campus, as we have unveiled a new strategic plan called Unleashing the Genius that is going to set us up for the next 8 years. And so we're really excited about the economies of scale, the efficiency, and the time this has given my staff. Because as you remember, I prefaced with saying we've been operating at a 20-25% deficit in staffing. And so many of my team have had to take on multiple hats. And so with Tanium, that reduction has been that reduction in time and also increasing knowledge across the campus within my team has been a real benefit for our operations and how we provide support to the campus.
It sounds like an impressive array of improvements and benefits. What other benefits have you seen, particularly around the issue of security as a result of deploying Tanium?
So with security, I'm going to tell you, you know, when we initially, we had a couple of situations with, you know, missing devices, you know, and I can tell you, one of the benefits that we saw was the ability to manage the encryption on the devices using Tanium by using the native encryption from those operating systems. So previously we were using a software encryption and it wasn't really working and reporting and giving us that safe harbor that we needed. Well, initially we rolled out Tanium and got a notice, hey, this person didn't return the equipment and they're not being responsive and all this other stuff. Turned to the team, I said, hey, don't we have this feature in Tanium where we can send out commands and remote lock, put up a message and all this other stuff? And they're like, yeah, we can. I said, okay, let's make sure it's still encrypted. It's still encrypted with BitLocker. That was great. And we pushed out that command to that device. And I tell you, we received that device back within 2 business days, because we put up a nice little red white screen that says, hey, this device has been reported as missing and stolen. Please contact the police department and all this other good stuff. That was one of the immediate cases that we're seeing, you know, as far as being able to make sure our data on our devices are secure no matter where they are. Being able to send patches to devices no matter where they are, whether they're home or away. You know, if they're connected to the network or the internet, we're going to be able to remediate and resolve issues, vulnerabilities, our vulnerability and patching. We're able to immediately address them, specifically when that Log4j vulnerability came out. In the past, we would have had to use our scanning tool, try to figure out what assets were affected. Was it online? You know, all this manual work. Well, when we utilize their, I think it's the protection module, to do that, it was done in hours versus days and weeks that my team would normally have done. And so we've seen the immediate benefit on helping us to mitigate and reduce impact of potential vulnerabilities to our systems. We've been able to do more securing and hardening and having our benchmarks for our operating systems being pushed out and making sure that, you know, our images are at our security benchmarks that we use. And so we're able to report on that. But what's really impressive, we're able to see how our users, and especially our privileged access users, how they can impact our organization if they become compromised. And so now I can see, you know, currently today, my privileged access users I'll look in the portal and I can see the number of hops it would take to compromise our university and all the systems that they're connected to, and how a attacker can traverse using their credentials across our network. We didn't have that visibility in the past. Now we have that visibility and we're able to make proactive measures, making changes into our policies and procedures for our privileged access users, our sysadmins, and we're able to make changes based off of data, right? It's not just anecdotal, like this is just something we should do, but we have the data to show and to prove like this is why we're putting in these additional controls to limit impact to our campus.
Well, Doug, let me bring you into the conversation here. Based on your IT experience with the higher education community, first, what has impressed you most by what Winston Salem State University is doing that other universities might want to take a closer look at?
Yeah, I when I go out and talk to customers and stuff, I have sort of this story in my head of what's possible, the art of the possible. And now I just sort of repeat her story because they were starting to realize the art of what's possible. They put to use and things that it's really transformational. And you talk about transformation, the cultural change that has taken place on their campus, led by Raisha and all that, is that's the thing that leads the technology piece of it. A lot of universities and stuff, a lot of institutions have a lot of technical debt. I call it sunk cost, to quote Seth Gordon, and it's stuff that they bought at a point in time that served them that may no longer serve them now, but yet they're married to it, either by that's the expertise that they have or these other things. But Raisha and team were so willing to let go of what they knew, and this is a human nature type thing, is change. We're all sort of afraid of change. It makes us uncomfortable. They embraced it. And they said, hey, there is a better life. We can go do the, when you go talk to your boss, hey, you've got to see this. You're going down the hall. You're so excited about possibilities that you're pulling them in. That's contagious. We recently had a conference here, our partner conference, Converge, and I was fortunate enough to have some of our people in a class I was teaching, some of our staff. And the energy, the positive vibes, it just came off of me. If you could see that as an aura and stuff, it was just like glowing red. It was just so vibrant and catchy. And that's the thing that maybe you don't talk about enough, is the improvement in employee morale and the ability to go, hey, let's do something new. I like to ask people, what did you get in IT for? And not one of them says patching. That's never come up. It's always to do cool things. And I ask them, how often do you get to do cool things? And typically they say not very often. That's just the opposite. They're starting to do cool things. And as Raisha talks about, they're getting to do things they couldn't do before. So they're really taking care of the baseline, servicing their customers more, and say, hey, what's next?
Yeah, and to kind of add on to Doug, my team they came back so excited from Converge that they're ready to do a presentation to me about some additional features and functions that they are excited about rolling out on the campus. And so I'm kind of holding them back. So let's get through break. Y'all go relax, and we'll come back and let's see some of the stuff that you all have found out and learned at Converge.
Well, I really appreciate hearing the energy and the human factor in this, because as we all know, it's not just the technology that becomes important to deploy, but just getting your teams engaged. Doug, back to you just briefly. What do you think is holding higher education institutions back from consolidating and streamlining their security operations? And what can they learn maybe from WSSU and others about making that process more productive?
Yeah, a lot of it is the history. They've got this. It's not we've always done it this way, but there's a history and there's a culture that is sort of holding them back. And the culture is, well, we're XYZ and we've done it this way and we do it better than everybody else and all that. And that's all fine until it doesn't. Right. And it sort of holds you back from exploring new opportunities to do things. And then you have separate fiefdoms. You have security with sort of their view of life, and then you have the operations team, but their sort of view of life, and there's constantly butting of heads where, is there an example of when you come together on a single platform that sort of gives you that, hey, let me help you do this, because then you can help me do this other thing. It's cooperation and stuff that gets there. It's the inertia. It's overcoming that inertia. Hey, yeah, we are going to take this leap of faith, change the way we do things for the better.
And then Raisha, what parting advice would you offer CIOs who find themselves in a similar situation to where you were, or perhaps are in the process now of consolidating their collection of security tools?
Yes, so first know what you want to consolidate, right? Know the tools that you have in your tool set, and is it working for your staff? Is it working for your team? If they're spending more time managing the tool than using the tool, then I'd say that's one of the items that's up to consider for consolidation. You know, we went through when my team first introduced me to Tanium, and I sat there, and they just wanted me to listen to one spot, one little product, one product, right? I said, wait a minute, what's the breadth of what this product can do? What other opportunities are there out there for us to consolidate our tool set, reduce our footprint on the endpoints, because we're just adding more and more clients, and it's just dragging, and the production speeds are impacting our faculty and our staff's ability to use the resources. If we can find opportunities to gain in computing and gain in that experience that we are giving our end users, then it's a win for us. And so I took it as an opportunity to increase our goodwill with our campus, right? Make it easier for them to use, make it easier for them to find the software that they need, because we manage the devices. They don't have access to them to install software. So let us make it easy for them to get the software that they need, and make it seamless, right? You don't want them to be there much friction and interaction, and they're like, this Tanium client is doing all, you don't want all that, right? You want it to be simple and seamless for your end user. But on the back end, I want it to be powerful enough to do the job that I need to have done for my staff and my team, so that they can be working on other things, right? They don't need to be spending weeks and months on patching. They don't need to be spending weeks and months on encrypting and managing encryption keys and looking at, you know, reports and all sort of stuff. You know, I've found that it increased the innovation on my team, the collaboration of my team, right? Like you mentioned earlier, we had these silos and whatnot, but now we're working more as a cohesive unit from one pane of glass. So everybody's going through the same pane of glass, but now they're collaborating on, you know, my endpoint folks are helping my server team on how they're using the product, and vice versa. And so it's more collaboration, less time with the technology, and more time finding opportunities to service and provide better services to the campus. It's a win-win for me at the end of the day.
Certainly sounds like it. Well, Raisha Cobb, thank you so much. And Doug Thompson, thank you as well for sharing your respective insights on how a solution like Tanium's can not only make life simpler and more secure for higher education institutions, but also as an element of improved collaboration and teamwork on IT teams, a very important aspect of today's security measures. So thank you very much, both of you, for joining us today.
Thank you.